Class of Your Own Webinar 9 Layout Book. In this webinar we're going to be looking at how we use the layout book and to create our template file and then to import files and then to export the layout book. Before we do that, let's just very briefly go back to our SketchUp model by looking at the cameras. We can actually check whether our view set is in perspective mode or in parallel projection. So if I wish to create an illustration, the simplest form is to go to perspective mode, come down to the export and select 2D graphic, and it will create a screenshot of our model itself. So let's look at the layout book itself. The layout book itself is made of a series of templates. We're going to select A3 template. So when you open it, you have a covering page which has a logo onto it. But first of all, what we need to do is to actually change the document settings. So go to document setup. So let's just name this file, project file, COYO website. We can then add additional pages. But first of all, let's just select the font. Let's just change the font. We can import a logo to replace the standard one that's actually on the template file itself. So by going to page 2 on the dialog box, we can then duplicate. Then on complete, we're going to save as template. So if we go back into my templates, you will see that our template file has been created, and by importing documents we can add them to each of the pages. We can change the dimensions, we can change the view set. And so what we can do, we can slowly go through by working through each of the pages. We can copy, we can paste it, and we can import. So to import our SketchUp files, we'll simply just go on to import and select our SketchUp file. It will bring our image to the file itself. We can select each of the elevations, and so consequently we can go through and we can populate the sheet. So in all cases we can control the scale, we control where they are located on the page, so we can create the composition. Then on completion, we'll simply go to export and click on export PDF. So let's go back to our SketchUp file. So we can look at our various view sets, whether they are front elevations, whether they are 3D views, whether they are plan views. You'll notice I've got no dimensions. So if I have an object that I've imported into the model itself, if I select it and make one of them unique, and by selecting the scale tool and going to the corner node, I can proportionately increase or decrease the scale of the object. I can add materials to my model. If I wish to move an object, so suddenly my tree happens to be in the wrong place, I can move the object by using the drag tool. Don't forget to hit escape on completion. And it's always wise to rotate and check the model for the various components that you've included to make sure that they sit correctly in the right place. If I wish to amend an object, we can go to explode. We can select one of the figures by hitting Control and the shift tool. We need to make sure that element of the component is actually being relocated. So we need to check it both in 2D as well as in 3D to make sure that it is located and it is sitting correctly within that model space. So if we look at the layout book itself, I'm going to go to page 2, I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Import, I'm going to select the SketchUp model which I've created, and I'm going to click on Open. So when the object is actually imported, it will actually define the scene. We can change the scene. We can adjust the blue bounding box that goes around the object. If I wish to, rather than go back and forward into my SketchUp file, I can click on Copy. Let me go to page 3. I can then import it and paste. I can change the view set from 3D mode to 2D mode. I can look at the layers and the elements from the layers I can close off. So if I just go to the following page, I can copy, I can paste, and I can start populating each of my view sets. We can repeat this as we go through and to populate all our pages of our SketchUp model. So if I look at my SketchUp model itself, let me just change the 3D view to elevation. It will automatically reformat the view set. I can check its scale. If I wish to change it to another view set. So to conclude, we can use the dimensions to add to each of our elevations by left clicking. We can use the label tool to actually select an element. Because these were created as components, the document name will automatically be applied to the label itself. So by selecting on various key elements to the model itself, this is automatically added to the model. So finally, let's just change and add the name tab again. Let's just call this North Elevation. So if we find that the font is too big, we could simply use the select button, left click and hold both. Let's select the fonts. So we're going to go to textiles, go dimensions, sizes, and again I'm just going to change this from 24 point down to 18 point. I can use the shift to relocate. And then in completion we can hit save. And finally, to export, let's click on export. Let's go to PDF. So there's our file name. Let's name this webinar 9. Click on save. In the export tool we have a selection as to whether we wish to export all the pages or just certain ones, and it will very quickly export our files, and it will create us our layout book, all exported in PDF format. So I have my 2D views, I have my 3D views, and I have my opening illustration on my cover page. Finally, let's have a look at this in video format.